Yes, winning the lottery. It's the ultimate dream. For just $2, you get a chance for all of your problems to go away and all of your hopes and dreams to become a reality. Who could resist such a chance? But what happens when the cameras go off and the joy and excitement of winning wears off and reality sets in? What happens when the wrong people catch wind that you are now an instant millionaire? What happens when your spending habits have not changed? We will go over these questions and more in this video as we uncover the dark side of winning the lottery. So grab your popcorn or pizza and relax while we uncover the 10 times winning the lottery was bad news for the winner. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to Razor Rex. You're doing great things for this channel and we enjoy having you here. Now let's get to the video. Martyn Kay Tott. This first story is an example of how one can lose all of their money in record time. In 2001, Martyn and Kay were overjoyed when they realized they had bought a winning ticket worth £3 million. Excited about their newfound riches, the lovebirds were ready to claim their prize, but they had one major problem. They couldn't find the winning ticket. The couple were sure that they had won because they played the same numbers every week, so when the numbers came up, they knew that they had won. Unable to find the ticket, they confirmed their purchase at their local Londis. Armed with this information, they rushed to the lottery officials to claim their £3 million. Their dream quickly became a nightmare when they were told they couldn't get the cash. You see, there is a little-known rule stating lost tickets have to be reported within 30 days, which their window had passed. Camelot, the lottery organizer, deliberated for 45 days, decided to stick with the rule, and notified the Totts that they would not receive any money. This decision would cause a downward spiral for the couple. After the devastating news, they would launch a public campaign for help, trying to get Camelot to see the error of their ways. They would get support from major celebrities like Richard Branson, Tony Blair. Despite their efforts, Camelot didn't budge. The heartbreak would prove too much for this couple, and they would soon split. We'd only known each other for 2 years, and the lottery ordeal quickly highlighted our differences. Martyn would go on to say, "All we did was bicker. Sadly, both of us agreed we should split, and Kay moved out." 6 years later, in 2007, Martyn would sue Camelot for the winnings. He was warned that if he lost the case, he would have to pay Camelot's $400,000 legal fees. Jonathan Bunn, the man sponsoring Martyn's lawsuit, would back out after hearing this. Martyn would finally come to grips that he would never see his lost millions. 2 years later, he would publish his novel, 6 Magic Numbers. Talk about tough luck. Can you imagine spending the rest of your life knowing you should be a millionaire but lost the ticket? Lara and Roger Griffiths. In 2005, Roger and Lara won £1.83 million playing the national lottery. Roger soon quit his job as an IT manager, earning £38,000, and Lara left her position as a performing arts teacher. Thus began the lottery curse. They would go on a spending spree that we could only dream of. It didn't cross my mind that I'd end up here. The one thing I didn't want to do was waste that money, Roger said. Before they won the lottery, they owned a 4-bedroom ex-council house in Boston Spa. They always kept up with their mortgage. On the first night after winning, they celebrated with curry and Camelot champagne. Soon after that, Roger purchased a soft-top Audi, and Lara booked a vacation to Dubai, flying economy class and staying in a 5-star hotel. After buying handbags and spending a lot of time at Louis Vuitton at the trip's end, their bill reached around £15,000 in 10 days. They would buy a home, spending £18,000 on renovations and £25,000 on new furniture. Roger bought a Porsche, while Lara swapped out the Audi for a Lexus. They would send their 2 daughters to a private girls' school, costing more than £20,000 a year. Trips to Florida, New York, and Rome were planned and taken. In Rome, the couple stayed in the royal suite of St. Regis, where you have your own personal butler. Roger put his old band back together, and £25,000 later, they released a single that only sold 600 copies. Roger's next move was to become a property developer, despite having no experience. He would buy 2 houses, one for £157,000 and the other for £195,000. He would also buy a beauty salon for £100,000, which was doing well for a short period. But then it started losing £4,000 a month. They were soon in their $70,000 emergency fund. But the spending continued. with champagne and five-star vacations. The failing businesses and a house fire right before Christmas forced them to pay £120,000 worth of repairs and find a place to stay until the repairs were done, which would be the final nail in the coffin of their marriage. Roger would move out of the family home and into a cottage he had bought as an investment. They would sell the salon, losing £70,000, pull the children out of private school and put them in public school, return the porch, and put the family house up for sale. When asked, Roger said he doesn't regret picking those winning numbers, nor does he regret the holidays, cars, or hotels. "I was living the millionaire's lifestyle. Everyone who wins the lottery should do that," said Roger. "There's no point entering otherwise." "People kept saying I was stupid, pumped full of plastic surgery, and needed my kids taken away," Lara said. "But the fact is, I spent it wisely and had a great time," Lara said. "This just shows not everyone believes spending all the money is considered a tragedy, and it depends on if you had fun doing it." Callie Rogers. At the age of 16, Callie Rogers became the UK's youngest lottery winner in 2003, winning a whopping £1.8 million jackpot. You would think she would be set for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be the case. Over the next 20 years, Callie would squander her money on designer clothes, extravagant parties, drugs, and cosmetic surgery. Callie has said that being just 16 was too young to win that kind of money. She recalled having to battle depression as the result of the pressure of winning, and even tried to take her own life at one point. Just like most lottery winners, she bought her first house, spent money on cars, holidays, and presents. The former £3, 60 an hour checkout worker had no clue what was in store for her. She said after coming into the money, she was constantly in a cycle of despair, as she suffered physical and verbal abuse and was hounded by so-called friends who just wanted her money. "I would give money to distant relatives and friends of friends. I loaned £20,000 here, £13,000 there. I would never get it back. People asked for money for new cars, and I would help out. I was a soft touch. Now I realize what they were like. I was exploited because of my age. I had a lot of fake relationships," said Callie. Throughout the years, she would splurge £18,000 on plastic surgery, £250,000 on drugs, and £300,000 on new clothes, along with £500,000 to friends and family. By 2021, she was left on universal credit after spending all of her winnings. But she doesn't regret the win. "We all make mistakes in life, and I made some when I was young and naive, but winning the lottery was a big part of becoming the person I am today, and I'm proud of who I am," she said. She also called for the lottery to raise the minimum age of playing to 18, adding, "You're only 16 with all that responsibility. At that age, you can get the best advice ever, but you're not in a position to listen. I was too young. Overnight, I went from carefree child to adult." In April 2021, the lottery did just that and raised the minimum age to 18. What do you think? Do you think 16 is too young to play the lottery? What age limit do you think should be the minimum? Leave a comment below telling us what you think, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and push the bell icon to get notified when we put out new videos every week covering topics ranging from lottery wins to the rise and fall of corporate empires. Sharon Tirabassi, 10 years. That is how long it took Sharon Tirabassi to blow through $10 million. In April 2004, Sharon bought a Lotto Super 7 ticket and instantly became a millionaire overnight. Finally, all her stars aligned, but they didn't stay that way for long. The spending would start instantly. She spent extravagantly on a massive house, luxury cars, designer clothes, lavish parties, costly trips, and loaned money to family and friends. She would take friends on all expenses paid trips to Florida, Las Vegas, California, and the Caribbean. She would check her bank account every now and then, but seeing so many zeros, she didn't worry about her spending habits. During this time, Sharon would buy a house, get married, and have 3 children. She would give her parents $1 million and split $1.75 million among her 4 siblings. The newlyweds kept the spending going by purchasing 4 cars, a Dodge Charger, a Mustang, a yellow Hummer, and a Cadillac Escalade. She would even be generous enough to help pay neighbors rent and pay to launch a friend's business. They bought several homes and turned them into low-income rentals. In just 3 short years, Sharon had burned through half of the $10 million. Before she knew it, she was down to just $750,000 in her bank account. Once she noticed what was left in her bank, Sharon decided to stop spending and get a part-time job. When asked about all the money being gone, he said, "I lived like this my whole life. I never was rich. We grew up like this, so we are used to it." Sharon now rents a house and regularly takes the bus. Despite the glory days being behind them and returning to normal, the couple remains unconcerned. "Money is the root of all evil," Sharon said. Vinny would add, "Money doesn't buy you happiness. It caused her numerous headaches. She lost many friends and much of her family." He also warned future lottery winners to be cautious and only trust family members, saying, "Keep it to yourself and don't trust anybody but family." Evelyn Adams. For most of us, winning the lottery is a dream come true, but winning it twice, that's a fantasy. Evelyn Adams got a chance to live that fantasy as she won the lottery twice within a 6-month span. Working at a convenience store, Evelyn won a $3.9 million in October 1985. Just 4 months later, she scooped another $1.4 million jackpot. Evelyn had a long journey to get to that point. 1971 is when she started to play the lottery and wound spend $25 a week on tickets. She would eventually increase her spending on tickets to more than $100 a week before she hit the first jackpot. With her first win, Evelyn paid off some bills and set up a college fund for her daughter and bought herself a new car. That was about all the good that came out of the winnings. A series of bad business decisions, along with an awful gambling addiction, would take a toll on Evelyn's winnings, which eventually would dry up her bank account. When she first won the jackpot, Evelyn would help those who got in touch with her for financial aid, but learned that some people had no intentions on paying her back. "I gave a lot of money away at first. Now I am more selective," she said. Even her own family was split over her winning. Evelyn said, "Most of my family was great, but a few of my relatives were angry because I had so much." After her second jackpot win, Evelyn would eventually buy and sell the convenience store where she had worked and won the lottery. This time around, she was more careful with her money when it came to the many requests she'd received. By 2012, due to bad business investments and playing slot machines at the Atlantic City casinos, Evelyn lost all of her money. "Winning the lottery isn't always what it's cracked up to be," she said. "I won the American dream and lost it too. It was a very hard fall. It's called rock bottom." Tonda Lynn Dickerson. This story is kind of tricky depending on how you look at it. In 1999, Edward Seward, a regular customer at Grand Bay Waffle House in Alabama, tipped his waitress, Tonda Lynn Dickerson, a lottery ticket that changed her life for the better, she thought. But karma has a way of showing up when you least expect it. The next day, the winning numbers were revealed, and she was the winner of $10 million. Tonda would decide to take her winnings in 30 annual payments of $375,000 rather than a lump sum of $4 million. Not only did her life change instantly, but her coworkers thought their lives had also changed instantly as well. According to them, they all agreed that if one of them hit the lottery, they would split it with everyone. However, Tonda would have a change of heart and decided not to share her winnings. Her coworkers sued, alleging that they had always had an oral contract agreeing to split any winnings between them. The courts would rule in Tonda Dickerson's favor that allowed her to keep all the winnings. Her fellow employees weren't the only ones upset with Miss Dickerson. Mr. Seward, the one who gave her the ticket, was also angry that she didn't share the winnings. But also, she didn't keep her promise of buying him a pickup truck if she won the lottery. He would take her to court as well, but his case was dismissed by the courts. This is how far her luck went before karma stepped in to avoid paying income taxes. Miss Dickerson and her loved ones started an S corporation. 9 Mill, the name of the business, was looked at by an attorney with the IRS, who issued a bill for not paying her federal gift tax. At one point, she would be kidnapped by her ex-husband. Lucky she was able to come out of that situation unharmed. In 2012, she was asked to pay $1 million in gift taxes, on top of her income tax. Miss Dickerson and the IRS would come to an agreement where she didn't have to pay the whole amount. She was able to keep the bulk of the money, which she passed along to her family. She would go back to work, but this is a poker dealer at Golden Nugget Casino. Gerald Muswagon. In 1998, Mr. Muswagon spent $2 on a Super 7 ticket and won $10 million. His downward spiral started as soon as he received his money. In the matter of a few short years, Muswagon managed to sweep through his winnings. The lottery winner dumped loads of cash on a collection of flashy vehicles, a new home that was turned into a party pad, and an abundance of drugs and alcohol used to celebrate his luxurious lifestyle. He also had a habit of gifting his friends with over-the-top presents. In a single day, he reportedly purchased 8 big-screen televisions to hand out to his loved ones. He didn't have the right people around him at the time, people who could have guided him, noted his cousin. A lot of people asked a lot of him. Muswagon attempted to use some of his money to kickstart a business, but his plan quickly went south. The lumber company, Gerald's Logging, never produced enough sales to sustain itself. Left in a state of despair and hopelessness, Muswagon started to turn toward crime. In 2000, he led police on a lengthy car chase as he reached more than 111 miles per hour in his brand-new Chevy Silverado, resulting in a 3-month jail stay. 5 years later, he pleaded guilty to sexual assault charges and was taken in for another 3-month sentence. His lawyer suggested his lack of education was the main factor driving his poor spending habits and departure from responsibilities. Unfortunately, he had a very difficult time adjusting, coming from Norway House with very little education, said Tim Valgardson, Mr. Muswagon's lawyer. With a criminal record in place, the lottery winner had few options left. In order to support his girlfriend and 6 young children, he was forced to move into a smaller home and take a job doing manual labor at a local farm. His extravagant lifestyle quickly became a distant memory. I really wanted him to be set up for life, so he never had to work another day, said his cousin. He should have been able to do that, but he made some very bad decisions. 7 years after hitting the jackpot in October 2005, Muswagon hanged himself in his parents' garage. Willie Hurt. Willie Hurt's life took a tragic turn after his $3.1 million lottery win in 1989. Initially a dedicated family man from Lansing, Michigan, with a wife and 3 children, Hurt found himself penniless and going through a divorce by 1991 due to a crack cocaine addiction that consumed him. That September, Hurt's downward spiral reached a horrific low when Wendy Elizabeth Kimmy, 30, was fatally shot in the head in the boarding house room Hurt had been renting. Witnesses stated the two had been on a drug and alcohol binge for 2 days prior. Prosecutors alleged Hurt became enraged when they couldn't find more crack cocaine, leading him to commit the murder. He turned himself in and reportedly confessed, though his lawyer, Malik Hodari, said he doesn't recall making or signing a confession. At the time of the killing, Hurt had been receiving his winnings in 20 annual $156,000 installments from the lottery. Officials stated a conviction would not stop those payments. The ultimate resolution of Hurt's case remains unclear from the reports, but his journey highlights the destructive potential of addiction to derail even those who come into substantial fortune. Denise Rossi, a California woman's $1.3 million lottery jackpot win, turned into a bitter divorce battle. Denise Rossi had been married to Thomas Rossi for 25 years when she hit the jackpot in a U.S. lottery game. However, just 11 days after her windfall, she filed for divorce, keeping her prize a secret from her soon-to-be ex-husband. Years later, in 1996, Thomas Rossi received a letter revealing Denise's lottery win. The letter, from a company that paid lump sum transitions for lottery winnings, stated they had helped hundreds of lottery winners like you around the country receive a lump sum payment for the present value of their future annual lottery payments. It was addressed to Denise Rossi, Thomas's ex-wife. The court learned that Denise had the original lottery check sent to her mother's address. She claimed she had wanted to get out of this relationship for years, explaining the timing of the win and the divorce filing. However, Thomas claimed he was blindsided and confused, telling people in 2004, "She wanted me to move out of the house very fast. It wasn't like her to act this way." Thomas secured an injunction shortly after discovering the incriminating letter and took Denise to court. The judge ruled that Denise had violated laws regarding the disclosure of assets and funds, acting in fraud or malice. Consequently, the then 49-year-old Denise was ordered to pay her ex-husband, then 20 annual installments of $66,800. amounting to the entire value of her lottery win. Denise's lawyer, Connolly Euler, stated that she might have been able to keep the winnings had she been honest about them, saying, "I could have argued successfully that it was her separate property. Or we could have argued and we would have reached some adjustment. But the judge got mad and gave it all to him." When Luke Pittard, a 25-year-old from Cardiff, won a staggering £1.3 million in the National Lottery back in 2006, it presented an opportunity to transform his life forever. However, Pittard was quite content with his existing lifestyle and decided to forego the luxuries that his newfound fortune could afford. At the time of his windfall, Pittard was employed as a staff trainer at a McDonald's restaurant in Pontprenow, Cardiff. Not only did he cherish the camaraderie with his colleagues, but it was also the place where he met his future wife, Emma Cox. While many would seize the chance to retire and indulge in a life of leisure after such a substantial lottery win, Pittard initially took a break from work to savor his millionaire status. During his time away, Pittard indulged in several luxuries, including a dream wedding with Emma, a lavish trip to the Canary Islands, and the purchase of a property worth over £200,000. However, after a year and a half, he realized that there was more to life than money and found himself missing the companionship of his former colleagues at McDonald's. Consequently, Pittard made the unexpected decision to return to his previous job at the fast food chain. In an interview with The Sun, he expressed his enthusiasm for rejoining his former workplace, stating, "I loved working at McDonald's before I became a millionaire, and I'm really enjoying being back there again." He acknowledged that many of his old workmates had attended his wedding, and he had maintained close ties with them throughout his time away. Pittard admitted that the novelty of leisurely activities like shopping and constant eating had worn off, leading to weight gain and boredom. He found fulfillment in the routine of work, remarking, "You can only go shopping a certain number of times before you start seeing the same things. It was getting boring and repetitive, and I put on a stone in weight. I was eating constantly. I enjoy going to work. It's better than staying at home all day." Despite his substantial lottery winnings, which provided a weekly interest income greater than his McDonald's salary, Pittard chose to use his newfound wealth to make his workday more comfortable, opting to commute via taxi instead of walking. Pittard's wife, Emma, fully supported his decision to return to McDonald's, acknowledging their shared enjoyment of working at the restaurant and the familiarity it provided. She stated, "I can totally understand it. We both really enjoyed working at McDonald's and still have good friends there. So it was really familiar for him and something for him to look forward to." As we can see, a massive lottery windfall doesn't always lead to a happy ending. From squandering fortunes on excessive spending and addictions to strained relationships and legal troubles, the stories highlighted the potential pitfalls that can arise when sudden wealth is mismanaged. But if you're still not convinced and want to try your luck, check out this video to see which game gives you a better chance of winning, Powerball or Mega Millions. Just remember, you were warned.